Hello everyone, welcome. Yeah, in previous video we learned info object, like complete info object. I hope you're getting idea like how do we write the OpenApi specification. In coming videos we are going to learn more objects like servers and content object, media type object, like that. In this video we will learn servers object. Let's say I have one API like Avengers API, which relates to all the Avengers details and it will perform some operations as I mentioned. Tomorrow, client will come and ask me to change the API operation, little bit changes. So I need to change that API, right, according to the client requirement. So I'll host my API in one of the server called development server where developers can develop the API. And client doesn't have access to the development server because they can't change that API, right? So, but they need to use that. In that case, I will host API in another server called, let's say, production server. The server name is production server. And there is another server called staging server, like this. So, we need to mention all these servers details, right, in OpenApi specification to understand about the API. We'll write all these details in a servers object. We'll write in a editor. We'll get a hands-on. See, yeah, this is the minimal structure and info object that I explained in previous video. And one more object comes, that's servers object. And this servers object is a list of servers. Okay, here we are using YAML, not JSON. So according to YAML, we should use hyphen. I'll give an example. There is a list, and within that there is a server 1 details and server 2 details, like that. Okay, to write this in JSON, sorry, YAML, we are going to use hyphen, like server 1 and server 2, like this. Okay, to list of details of the server. So we are going to write the server details like hyphen and URL for that server where this has been hosted. API has been hosted. Okay, I think couldn't render. Okay, we have to refresh this. I'll just refresh this editor. URL is https, let's say dev.avengers development server, and the port number is 100, let's say. And we can write the description. Okay, if you observe here the servers, there is a drop down because it's a list of values, right? So it will come as a drop down, and the URL, see, http dev.avengers.100.com, and the description comes here, that like development server. We can write like this. There is another server called staging server. Okay, I'll just replace like URL and the description, staging server. Okay, say in drop down. Oh, 1 second, okay. And one more server called production server. If you observe, there is a 3 URLs. This one is duplicated because it's a default one. See, development, staging and production. So these servers are available. We can go to that URL. See, URL is available and the description is also available to the user, or to who read this OpenApi specification. They will came to know all the details, like develop server details. And within that, okay, I'll change the port. Let's say it's 200. Let's say it's 300. It will reflect in this UI. So like this, we can write the server details. And one more thing, within this server details, if it's a dynamic value, the URL is a dynamic value. It's not a hard coded. We can use variables. Let's say this name, production name, I'll use like username. Okay, some username or username dot avengers dot 300.com. So for every user, this will change, and this is the description production server. Okay, now I need to change the URL. Let's say my URL is a dynamic one. It's not a hard coded. So in that case, we can use the variables. For that, we have to use brackets, flower braces. I'll demo here. Let's say this URL. I'll take this production server. In this production server, let's say in this production name, there is one. It's a dynamic URL. Let's say my name is some Tony. If I open this, that URL should be tony.avengers.300.com, like that. So that's in that case, I'll use variable name like username, and let's say the port number is also vary. Okay, let's say the variable name is port username. So within this URL, within this list, I need to use variables, not within this servers, within this URL list, I mean this production server list, variables, colon, username, this variable name I need to use. In my case, the variable name is username and port, and I'm providing the value. Actually, it's variable is a mapping between variable name and a value. Our variable name is username, and the value, let's say, what's that? Default value is Tony, and I can provide the description. Another variable name is port, right? Similarly, I can provide a default value. Default value is 300. What happened? Okay, it should be string. Okay, I am using development server. There is no any variables in that. I'll get the URL and the description. I'm using staging server, description and the URL. Okay, but within this production server, I'm using variables. Let's see how it will perform, how it will show in a UI. If I click on this production server, it will come like the computed URL. Actually, this username is a dynamic one. It will compute like Tony and 300. In the place of port, it's a 300.com. So this is the computed URL, I mean default URL, because my default value is Tony, like for the username, and for the port, it's a 300. But I can change this. I can change this URL. See, there is a username Tony. I can change like Captain America. As I change here, it will change here also Captain. Let's say it's a 300, it's a 400. If you observe, this computed URL is also changing. See? Yeah. So like that, we can make dynamic URLs. We can provide the dynamic URL for these servers. And let's say user didn't aware of the port numbers available, right? They are not aware. Now it's a 300. We need to provide options to them. Like let's say there is a 400 port available, 500 port available. To provide that, we should use enum. Enum, I think it's a list of values. Let's say there is a 400 and there is a 500 enum values. If we see this specification, they came to know, okay, these are 400, 500, okay, these are the values available. It's showing error because port default value 300. Let's say it's 300. Why it's coming like that? It should be string. Oh, okay. This 400 and this 500. Okay, if we click on this, see, as I refreshed, there are no duplicate development servers previously we saw, right? The default is this, and if we observe, for port number, default value is 400. Sorry, why it's default value 400? Not default value 400, it's a default value is 300 only, but available options is 400, 500. If you click on 500, it will change here 500, and if you click on 400, it will change here 400. So we can do like this because how can the clients know the port numbers available, right? Yeah, this is about service object. I hope you learned something different in this video, like something useful. In next video, I'll come with different objects, different useful contents like paths. It's one of the important object, like it will provide endpoints details. So we'll learn more about, I think, like coming 2 to 3 videos, it's all about paths only. I hope you will learn. I hope you learn. That's it. If you didn't subscribe, please subscribe and please hit a like button. That will motivate me to do more content like this. Thank you.